We'll begin this episode of the journey through the history of St. Mary, Mount Carmel, and Blessed Sacrament Parish in June of 1934. The parish had just lost its beloved pastor, Father John Marchigiani, who saw it through 12 years of expansion. The next shepherd of Mount Carmel would be another dynamic personality. Father William Pizzolio was born in 1904 in Brazil. At age 6, he lost his father and was turned over to an orphanage run by the Scalabridian Fathers. Seeing his promise, they arranged to send him at 10 years old to study in Piacenza, Italy. A gifted musician, he eventually directed the choir of his college for 10 years. Pizzolio was ordained in 1927 and received a doctorate in sacred theology in 1929. He first served as a priest in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, in New York, before coming to Utica. Father Pizzolio's first task at Mount Carmel was a census which counted 2,350 families and 12,700 souls. He expanded catechism classes to students of the public schools, organized the League of Sacred Heart, and a high school association for the teens of the parish. In 1936, on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the opening of the lower church, Father Pizzolio oversaw the installation of 3 new marble altars from the De Prato Statuary Company of New York, and decoration of the interior of the building by the famous artist Antonio D'Ambrosio of New York. Note that the wall behind the main altar is still flat at that time. The apse that we are familiar with today would come later. The center of the ceiling of the central nave would be graced with D'Ambrosio's Assumption of the Virgin. Presiding over the 1936 celebratory banquet for the blessing of the new altars and decorations of Mount Carmel, Bishop John Duffy remarked in admiration of the parish of Mount Carmel and its 33-year-old pastor. In 1939, Father Pizzolio oversaw the installment of a new organ in the choir loft and the remodeling of the adjacent convent. His greatest challenge was to come during World War II. 3,000 parishioners of Mount Carmel went to the front. The good pastor kept in touch with all the young men and women through correspondence. A word from Pizzolio was certainly appreciated by those young men, as well as the young women who were facing such a traumatic time so far from home. Since many of the parish women were obliged to take work in local factories, providing goods for the war effort, Father Pizzolio saw a need for childcare. He established a pediatric clinic and a nursery, which, parenthetically, continued until 1970. At the conclusion of the war, the parish prepared for its 50th anniversary. Encouraged by the bishop, Pizzolio undertook a new transformation of the church. On the outside, a vestibule and new entry steps were installed, which shielded the back pews from cold winter drafts. The interior of the church took on a dramatic reconstruction of the apse, sanctuary, colonnades, and ceiling art. The apse was deepened and crowned by a representation of the great painter Raphael's Dispute of the Sacrament. And the columns of the lateral naves were embellished with varicolored faux marble with elaborate capitals. The vaulting in all of the church was redecorated in a Baroque style. All this making Mount Carmel one of the most beautifully decorated churches in the diocese. The inaugural Mass of the renovations was celebrated with music composed by Father Pizzolio. Father Pizzolio left our parish after 17 years of faithful service to join the parish of St. Joseph in New York City. When he passed away in 1973, his funeral service was held back at Mount Carmel and laid to rest in St. Agnes Cemetery next to Father Castelli. Father Pizzolio was succeeded by Reverend Joseph Burton, who faithfully served the Mount Carmel parish from 1950 to 1964. During his pastorate, several contiguous parcels of property were purchased for the church campus to provide ample parking for the mobile parishioners and space for the annual feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. The most visible result of his pastorate was the construction of the new and spacious rectory at 648 J Street, behind the church and school. Join us next time when we'll pick up our history in 1964. We look forward to seeing you, and until then, keep dreaming and God bless.